People sometimes say, what's the most excited you get about having a guest on the show? And I always say it's my best friend at the network, James Duthie. We do this annual chat every year when he gets to the Super Bowl. He made a quick stop in the Turks and Caicos, and now here he is in New Orleans. And James, it's terrific to see you. First of all, a lot of police presence in New Orleans. Has Bell Media finally allowed you to have that security detail you've long requested?
Yeah, the patrol cars you see behind me, Jay, are all just for me. They follow me as I go for a jog down the streets. No, that's one of the first things I noticed when I got here yesterday. It's incredible. We're only about 2 blocks away from Bourbon Street and where the terrorist attack happened, and it's actually reminiscent of the first Super Bowl I did was in 2002. Was the first major sporting event after 9/11, and the security here now in New Orleans, of course that one was also in New Orleans, is very similar. Military, police, everywhere. I don't think it's stopping the fun. People are still all over Bourbon Street at night. And New Orleans is a great Super Bowl city, but it is the first thing you notice when you get here.
You were there for the New England Patriots Super Bowl run through the 2010s. How do you compare covering that run, James, to covering this current run that we see from Patty Mahomes and the Chiefs?
Well, first of all, I can't believe it's happened. The fact, I'm torn because I think there's a lot of fatigue with the Chiefs right now, with the average fan, and the same thing we saw with the Patriots. You see them so often, you think you're getting the calls, whatever, and you get sick of them, and you start to get hatred, which is the ultimate compliment, I think, to both of those franchises, that they're around long enough, which is ludicrous in a salary cap league to be coming back to Super Bowl after Super Bowl after Super Bowl. I think sometimes it takes time and distance to appreciate greatness. Like, I do think in 20 or 30 years, I think we'll go back to a time sooner or later where different teams are in the Super Bowl again, mostly every year. And we'll look back on this time of Brady and then Mahomes back-to-back as pure insanity. Like, when the Brady thing ended, I said, we're never going to see this again in our lifetime. And not only have we seen it again in our lifetime, we saw it right away. We basically transitioned straight from Brady dynasty to Mahomes and the Chiefs dynasty. And the fact that we're even having this conversation about could Mahomes be the best ever is nuts to me, because I didn't think I would be alive to have somebody be compared to Brady in that respect.
How about the Eagles? The fact that, as you alluded to, people are painting the Chiefs as villains means for the first time in the history of the city of Philadelphia, they are not the villains as the team going into the Super Bowl. Do you buy that, James? We're not sure Nick Sirianni's that likable.
No, I don't know. I think there's a lot of people that would rather neither team win and somehow get a double default in this. But I do think you have to respect the Eagles organization as well. Obviously, it's not what the Patriots have done. It's not what the Chiefs have done here. But if the Eagles win this game, think of like Howie Roseman, the GM and executive VP. He will have beaten Belichick and Brady with Nick Foles and Doug Peterson, and then he will have beaten Andy Reid and Mahomes with Sirianni and Jalen Hurts. No offense, although they would probably take offense if they heard that. But that's a pretty remarkable thing, and it speaks to what they've done as an organization to build really good football teams consistently here.
We dug up some picks from your very first Super Bowl. I think you alluded to it in New Orleans, and I just love
2002.
2002. Here you are. I don't know if you can see this.
Oh, look at that.
But look at
There's Dennis Barham, producer Dennis Barham, who's right here still. Schultze, we miss him so dearly.
Yes.
That was Schultze's first Super Bowl as well. Had the big stash going. Mark Millett was the cameraman you saw. And that was the one, of course, where the Rams were huge favorites over the Patriots, and Brady pulled it off, and Vinatieri kicked the field goal at the end. And I was in complete and utter shock. I think the Rams were like, 14 and a half point favorites for that game. And that was the one that started it all. And it was an incredibly memorable first Super Bowl to go to. I thought I was going to get a Tom Brady interview, Jay. So the best thing that can happen from, a TSN standpoint, and it doesn't really apply to this Super Bowl, but if you have an underdog in the Super Bowl, you kind of want them to win because you'll have a better chance of getting good interviews because they're so surprised to have won, unlike, I was never going to get Brady or Mahomes. But that first year, Brady, I think, was doing ESPN, and then he was kind of walking away towards our set, and I made eye contact with him, and he sort of gave me the nod. I'm like, oh, we're gonna get Brady on, and then he got swooped up in this big mass of people and PR people, and he gave me this little shrug, and Jimmy didn't get the Tom Brady interview, so that was my one shot.
We'll work on it for you. We'll work on it, buddy. I want you to get that. Now, so it's interesting now, James, you've been doing this over 20 years, covering the Super Bowl for us for TSN. So that means you've been to Super Bowl destinations multiple times in certain cases. So are there certain cities you've come to appreciate more than others in terms of Super Bowl hosts?
Well, I'm a Canadian in the winter, so I like warm places like anybody else. And New Orleans, by the way, New Orleans is beautiful. I'll say this about New Orleans. First of all, you cannot, like, I will gain 17 pounds this week. There is literally no other option but to gain serious weight no matter what you do. You cannot find a salad if you try, really, unless it's covered in all sorts of stuff. But New Orleans is a great Super Bowl city because they have so many hotel rooms all packed in one area, and the entertainment area, Bourbon Street and so on, is kind of all together. And so there's a reason they come back here every year, because logistically it's just a really good place to host a Super Bowl, and they really put on a great one. So this is right up there, but yeah, I'll take anywhere in California or Florida. Minnesota a few years ago, Jay. Love the fine people of Minnesota.
Yeah.
Gorgeous stadium.
Yeah.
But when we were sitting up on that platform, minus 35 degrees, trying to do hits, I will admit, I grew up in Ottawa. I should be stronger than that. I'm pathetic when it comes to extreme cold, and so I think the Super Bowl belongs in domes or warm weather cities most of the time.
So, James Duthie, thumbs down on the Paris of the Midwest. That's fair. That's fair.
Grey Cup, November,
yeah.
Regina, Winnipeg.
Yes.
That's what it's all about. We're Canadian. We suck it up for that. But the Super Bowl, we're sick of winter, warm climate.
I think that's a reasonable assessment, James. Okay,
that's fair. I think that's fair.
I think that's very fair. Okay, before I let you go into the night looking for beads, I've been asking all of our crew down in New Orleans for TSN. I've been asking you guys about beignets. And specifically, James, how, are you going to throw that on? I think you should.
No, I know. Barney, my cameraman, thought I should throw them on
That's
for you.
nice.
I'm not going to show you any chest for them. He also brought some Nerds.
Oh, Nerds Gummy Clusters. Oh, you're a good company man, buddy.
Hey?
You're a good company man.
Things I do for you. Just to answer your question, Kara Wagland, of course, has been here all week.
Yeah.
Every time I see her, she has one of those things. Now, I took French immersion, so it's beignet? Is that?
Beignets. Beignets.
Beignets,
yeah.
which is like French donut kind of thing,
yes,
right?
Exactly.
Beignets.
You got
I
it.
should know that. So she has one in her hand every time I see her. So, like, she has a bag of them. It's insane. And yet she was kind of complaining about the quality of them today. I said, how can you complain? She's like, these things aren't what they cut out to be. I'm like, you've had 47.
Yeah.
How can you complain about them? But so I have not tried one yet. But Kara is the bait. I'll have one for you, and I'll report back, even though my segment's long over. So
no. Here's what I think you should do, James. Try a beignet. Get Kara to shoot it for you, and then post it on your social media so we can all see how you love the beignets.
You know what I'll do? I'll make a hole in the beignet and I'll fill it with Nerds, and then start some sort of incredible eating trend down here in New Orleans.
James, you're a creative guy when it comes to food and snacking, and when it comes to broadcasting and covering major sporting events. And you wear the heck out of those beads, buddy. And we just can't thank you enough for being on the show with us tonight. Thanks, pal. Enjoy the Super Bowl.
Jay, thanks for having me on once a year on your program. It's a treat for me, and I'll cherish it.